Hello, it's Maria from Boxmoor Yoga, and we're going to do a half-hour yoga class this morning. It's for children, but please make sure you've got a responsible grown-up nearby just to check that you're okay, and make sure you've got lots of space around you. And the really important thing about any yoga class is if something doesn't feel right, don't make yourself keep on doing it. So if we're doing a pose and it actually hurts you, then don't carry on, just stop. And I normally give lots of different suggestions for poses so you can try something different, so we don't have to keep going if it doesn't feel right for you in your body. So today we're going to do lots of balancing poses. I'm going to be standing over here. Now my plan is I've got my laptop here, and maybe if I get any comments I'll be able to see them, and maybe I can give you a shout out as well. So if there's anybody watching who'd like me to say hello, then type a comment under the video and I can say hello to you. So we're going to keep going till about 9:30. Oh, okay, right. The lovely thing about balances is it's okay if you want to put your hand on a wall or on a chair to help you. So I've got a bit of a wall here, or if you've got a chair, or if you've got a grown-up or a nice person who's nearby that you can just put your hand on, it really helps. But before we get started, we're just going to have a little jiggle about and shake all the stupid out. And sometimes I feel like I'm a bit full of stupid and need to get rid of it. Ugh. Okay, so once you feel you've shaken out all the stupid, we're going to stand with our feet nicely planted. And just turn your heels out a little bit so they're a bit wider than your toes. And if you're in Key Stage 2 at school, you've probably done in maths about things being parallel. So we want our feet to kind of look parallel, and then have a little bend in your knees, and then imagine that your head is floating upwards, or you can imagine that there's a thread at the top of your head and it's drawing you upwards. And then bring your shoulders up to your ears, take a big breath in, and then let your shoulders drop down. And this is actually called mountain pose, because my feet are stuck to the floor. I'm not jiggling about, I'm on both feet, I'm not sort of moving from one to the other. I've got 2 feet stuck down, and I feel really quite solid and still when I'm like this. So we start in mountain pose, and it's a really good way to come into a balance when you've got your feet nicely stuck down. So the first balance we're going to do is called tree pose. And the first thing I'd like you to do is look at something. See if there's something you can look at that is not going to move. So don't look at me because I might wobble. Look at something that's maybe a bit further away, and then just shift onto one foot. And then your other foot, you can either leave your toes on the floor, or you can put your foot against your leg, or you can put your foot above your knee. Now sometimes I have a slidey day and sometimes I have a wobbly day. Sometimes I have a slidey day where my foot does not want to stay there. So if you're having a slidey day, put it below your knee. And some of you like lotus pose, I know, where you put your foot up here and then turn your knee out. And again, this is one I don't find very comfortable for long. So find how you want to put your foot, and then your hands can be at your heart, or they can be like branches, and you can wriggle your fingers like leaves, or you can have your hands above your head. But if you wobble, like I say, you can just put one hand against the wall. And another tip someone's told me, I don't know if this works for you, is if you hold one ear, or both ears, and just see if that works. And if you're feeling wobbly today, I know that the more you practice this, the better you get at it. It's really good fun balancing, and the more still your mind is, and the more still your eyes are, the better you get at balancing. So if you're sort of looking around going, oh, squirrel, then just look at something that won't move, and then you can stand on one leg for absolutely ages. So we'll put our hands down, put our feet down. I like to now give my toes a little wriggle. And then we're going to do the other side. Now you might have done your favourite side first. So let's just see if you're more wobbly on this side, or whether you like this side. So we'll take the weight into the other foot, and then you can decide, do you want your toes on the floor, or your foot against your leg, or above your knee, or in lotus. You choose what you want to do. And then if you're still imagining your head is floating upwards, making you nice and tall, and then choose how you want to position your hands. Look at something that won't move, hold your ears, put your hand on a wall, and just see if you can hold it for 2 or 3 breaths maybe. and then we'll put our hands down, put our feet down, give your toes a little wriggle. I can see that there's some comments coming through, and I just want to see what they're saying. Oh, no, it's too complicated for me. Right, I'll have to do that another time. Okay, so the next balancing pose we're going to do is called Eagle. So I want to show you what to do with the arms first. So if you hold on to yourself, hug your shoulders, and then bring the backs of your hands together. Just check you can see that properly. And then maybe you can twist round once more. So you've got quite twisty hands. Now this is something where it might not feel very comfortable for you. So some people prefer to just hold their shoulders, and some people prefer to put the backs of their hands together. So you choose what works for you, but I find it comfortable when I'm twisted like that. So these are our eagle arms. I'll tell you later why I think this is called eagle pose. And then we're going to take the weight into one foot and bend the knee, and then wrap the other leg around. Now, if you feel a bit wobbly, you can leave your other toes on the floor, but we're aiming to try and twist one set of toes around the other leg. And then it's a kind of sitting down thing, and just like tree pose, if you look at something that won't move, then it helps you to balance. So if you're feeling a bit wobbly, see if you can look past your hands. And if that still makes you wobbly, like I said, you can have your toes on the floor, or you could just do one arm holding onto your shoulder and the other hand just with your fingertips. Even just like one finger on the wall can make you feel a bit more steady. So that's one side. What I like to do is when I'm all twisted up in eagle pose, and then untwist myself and imagine I've got big beautiful wings, and then come onto both feet again. So we're going to do that on the other side. Now, whatever way you did your arms, we've got to remember which arm was on top and then do the other one. So if we put the other arm on top, either hold onto your shoulders, see how it feels to bring the backs of your hands together, twist around if it's comfortable. And it might feel different on one side to the other. And then we'll swap legs. So we're going to stand on the other leg, bend the knee, and twist round, and either have your toes on the floor, or see if you can tuck them around your leg, and then look past your hands at something that won't move, and see if you can hold it there a couple of breaths. For some people find this balance is easier than tree pose, so I don't know if you find this one easier. And then we'll unfold our beautiful eagle wings, and then bring our weight onto both feet again. And the reason I think it's called eagle pose is because you're all coiled up like a spring, and eagles sit very still on rocks and they just watch, and they might see a tiny little mouse in a field miles away, and then they just suddenly go. So it's like all that energy is curled up, ready to go. That's how I feel eagle pose makes me feel. Okay, right, what other balances can we do? I think we can have a go at a couple of warrior poses, because there's a lovely balance called Warrior 3. So there's 3 warrior poses, and we're going to go from Warrior 1 to Warrior 3. So Warrior 1, I'm going to face this way. If we have our feet a little bit apart, and think of your tailbone going towards the floor, I quite like imagining I've got a big dinosaur tail, so I'm lifting my big dinosaur tail up, and I'm lowering it down again, and then there's a point somewhere in the middle where my dinosaur tail's just resting on the floor, and my head's floating up. Then we're going to step forwards, let your back heel come down, and raise your arms in the air. So this is our Warrior 1. And to do Warrior 3, we're going to tip forwards, reach forwards with our fingers, and then back with your back leg. And we're trying to get as parallel to the floor as possible. So this is horizontal. So I get distracted. I was just having a look at myself on the camera there, thinking, do I need to go a bit further or not? So if you feel a bit wobbly with Warrior 3, you can put your hands on a wall or on a chair and lift one leg up. And that just gives you an idea of how it should feel. And you can then change sides. So if you feel okay with just stepping forwards and balancing in space with nothing around you, then just see how it goes. And it doesn't matter if you're not totally flat. Just go with what feels right for you. So we'll step forward, we're going to do the same leg again, arms in the air, and then reach forwards with your fingers and back with your back foot. And maybe see if you can hold it a couple of breaths. And if you look at something ahead of you, you're less likely to wobble and fall over. Oh, there we go. Let's do the other side then, so we better do the other side twice. You might have noticed if you're new to yoga, everything we do on one side, we have to do it all over again on the other side to make sure we're balanced. Okay, so stepping forwards with the other foot, arms in the air, bend the front knee, reach forwards with your fingers and back with your back foot, and see if you can hold it there a couple of breaths. And then we'll bend the knee and back again. And if that's too wobbly, so if this is not your favourite leg that you're doing now, again, you can lean on a wall, or you can have a chair there and rest your hands on it, or you can hold on to a grown-up. If you've got a nice friendly grown-up or a family member nearby, you can hold on to their hands. Let's do the second side again. So we step forwards, reach into the air, and then tip forwards, reach forwards with your fingers and back with your foot, and then we'll bend the knee, come back into warrior one, and then step 2 feet together again. So we've done a tree pose, we've done an eagle pose, and we've done warrior 3. We're going to do another warrior pose now. We're going to do the one we missed out. It's called warrior 2. It isn't a balance, but it can lead into a balance. So warrior 2, if we take another step forward, but this time we're going to swivel, so we're sideways. Raise your arms so they're kind of at shoulder level, and I like to just bring my shoulders up to my ears, and then let them drop down, and bend your knee, and it's a bit like being on a surfboard, so you can have a little rock forwards and backwards, and then find a point where you're nice and upright, and your arms are feeling strong. And this is what I like about warrior poses, they make me feel really strong. So this is, we're going to use this pose to come into half moon pose. So I'm going to show you what it looks like, and it might look a bit wobbly and rubbish because I'm just going to try and do it in the middle of the room, and you tip over and you're reaching your fingers to the floor and your arm up towards the ceiling and trying to keep this without wobbling. This is the problem with live, is you can't edit it out later. And then we step back into warrior 2. So that's half moon pose, and a lovely way of doing it, if you're feeling a bit wobbly, is I've got a big window behind me, but this window frame here can be really supportive. So I've got my foot next to my window frame, I'm starting off in warrior 2, and when I tip over, I can reach up with one hand and down with the other. I don't even have to get this hand all the way to the floor because I'm leaning nicely against the window, and my foot, just notice what my foot's doing. Hopefully you can see my foot. My heel's on the floor. Sometimes what I find when people are doing half moon pose, they think of it like a cartwheel. They go forwards and they go onto their tiptoe. So if you're going onto your tiptoe, leave your heel on the floor and you feel lovely and solid. So we're going to tip over. Hey, there's our half moon pose. Bend your knee, back into warrior 2 and step together. And now we have to do it all over again on the other side. So we'll step our feet wide. If you're feeling boingy, you can jump. So have our feet wide, our arms shoulder level. I'm going to swivel my feet around a bit. So I've got one set of toes going that way and the other set of toes pointing in a bit as well. Bend the knee. Here I am in my warrior 2, and then start to tip. I've got another trick for you actually, because if you don't have a bit of wall to lean on, you can use something like a bench. So if you have your bench so that when you tip over, your fingers lean on it, or you can have a chair, something that won't move, and then you've got your hand there, and as you tip over, you're a bit less wobbly just because you've got your hand there. And then bend that knee, back to warrior 2. Better do that one more time just to balance things up a bit. Okay, over we go. And we're reaching up with that top hand, we're reaching out with the back foot and feeling strong. This is another one that makes you feel strong and powerful, I think. Oh, and you can either step or jump your feet back together again. Okay, so how many poses? We've done tree, eagle, warrior 3 and half moon pose. We're going to try a pose called dancer's pose now, and this is a little bit of a back bend. So if we stand on our 2 feet and start on your favourite leg, and again you can have a bit of wall nearby. I'm going to space this way so you can see I've got my hand on the wall. So we're going to stand on one leg and hold the foot of the other leg. But but we're not going to sort of twist outwards. We want to sort of keep upright, so keep your knees kind of together, and then if you want to, you can start to tip forwards and take your back foot back. So if you're feeling confident, that's not a good start. If you're feeling confident, you can have one hand in the air, reaching up, and then as you go forwards, take that hand forwards. Again, look at something that won't move, and then we can slowly come back up again, both feet back together. Oh, that feels nice in my back. Okay, so we're going to do dancer's pose on the other side. So we're standing on 2 feet to start with, and make sure you're not sort of jiggling about. You've got your 2 feet stuck to the floor, and you've got those heels down, and then hold on to your ankle or your foot. Reach the other arm in the air, or you can have a bit of wall to lean on, or just to rest your fingers onto, and then start to tip forwards. Look at something that won't move. And then we'll go whoo, all the way up again, hopefully without wobbling. Oh, excuse me. Right, so that's another balance we've done. We're going to do one more, but this one is not balancing on our feet. We're going to do a balance on our bottoms. So if you sit on the floor with your legs out in front of you, and we're going to do a version of boat pose. And boat pose is really good fun if you know that you've got a bit of clear floor behind you. So look behind you and just check, can you roll backwards and forwards without hitting any furniture? And when you know that you can do that, then everything else is easy, because the worst thing that can happen now is that you're going to roll backwards, but you know it's okay because you've just tried it out. So we're going to sit 2 feet in front, hold on to your knees, and see if you can balance on your sitting bones and have your toes kind of level with your knees. And we don't kind of want to hunch round like this, so if you can send your shoulders as far away from your ears as you can and draw your chest forwards and have a nice long back of your neck. And if you want to, you can let go. If you've just had your breakfast, you might be feeling you've got a bit of a full tummy, and this does really work your tummy muscles, so you might prefer to just hold on to your knees for now. And if you want to, you can try straightening one leg out and the other and see how that goes. And then if you've enjoyed that, you can have a little roll backwards, whee, a little roll forwards. Oh, and see how that's going. And I think after all of those poses, we probably deserve a little bit of a rest now, and we're going to do a pose called child's pose. And child's pose is lovely because you can just imagine you're shutting the world out. So we're going to kneel, and then you can either have your hands on the floor and put your head on them like a pillow, or you can have your arms stretched out in front, or you can hold on to your feet. So you choose which version of child's pose you like. While you do that, I'm going to have another go at finding these comments, if I can. So have a little rest there just for a moment. I've got some shout outs for Orson and Mouse, and for Lucy and Zoe. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Okay, now take your time to come out of child's pose, and I'm going to show you another pose called legs up the wall pose, which is exactly what it sounds like. So if you have got a bit of spare wall, you sit right up against the wall and then you flip over, so your legs are up the wall. And this in itself is wonderful. But if you want to have a little play around, you can bend your knees and push your feet into the wall, and it's like doing a shoulder stand, so you're just sort of rolling up and down. So any grown-ups with high blood pressure, this is safe for you, so you just stay with this. You don't have to do anything else other than this. And it's a lovely resting pose. If you haven't got any spare wall handy, then you can put your feet on a chair. So I've got this bench here, so I can either rest my feet on it, or again I could put my feet on the edge. So as long as it's not going to move, make sure it's against the wall. and then push into it and roll up and down again. Oh, and it feels really lovely. And then when you've done that a couple of times, we're going to start to slow things down a little bit. And every yoga class we do, we finish with a bit of breathing practice and with some relaxation as well. And it might seem a bit weird talking about practicing how to breathe because we do it all the time. But what we can do is watch how we breathe and notice how we breathe, because we can actually control it. And when our breathing is slow and comfortable and relaxed, it actually makes us feel better about absolutely everything else that's going on. Oh, so what I'd like you to do, I've just stood up, but I actually want you to sit down. I'd like you to find a way that you can sit comfortably, and that might mean that you have to sit on a cushion. So you can feel 2 sitting bones. You're going to have a little shuffle from side to side. And then sit up. So your head's floating upwards. Bring your shoulders up to your ears. Take a big breath in. Let your shoulders drop down your back. And I'm going to tell you why we're going to sit like this, because if you're all hunched, you can't breathe as well. I know when I'm all hunched up with bad posture, all my breathing is up here, and it doesn't feel so good. Oh, and it's starting to give me a bit of neck ache. So when you're sitting up with a nice long back, you can breathe all the way down to the bottom of your lungs, which means you're getting loads of oxygen, and it means you can breathe more slowly. So the oxygen helps you concentrate more, and when you can breathe more slowly, it makes you feel calmer and happier. So if you can imagine your head's floating upwards, that your shoulders are dropping away from your ears, and see if you put your hands on your tummy, can you feel your tummy moving as you breathe in and out? Now some people, when they breathe in, they do this. So we don't want to have our shoulders lifting. So see if you can keep your shoulders down and breathe into your tummy. And another place you might feel it is your lower ribs. So your ribs are these bony bits that go down your side. And if you get to a squashy bit, you've gone a bit too far, you've gone past your ribs. So if there's a bony bit here, when you breathe in, you might just feel your hands move apart a little bit. So it's something you can do. If you ever notice you're worried about something, you might notice you're sort of breathing like this, but you can slow it down and just see if it makes you feel better. So we're going to breathe nice and slowly, and what I'd like you to do is take one hand, and with the finger of the other hand, we're just going to breathe in and stroke up the thumb, and then breathe out to go back down again, and then breathe in to go up the finger, and breathe out to go back down. And what I'd really like you to do is make it your natural breathing rate. So it's not when I'm breathing in and out, because we all breathe at different rates, and it's going to be what feels right for you. So if you just concentrate, you can tell I'm a bit out of breath now. And when you get all the way to your little finger, if you want to, you can go back the other way again. So I'd like you to go all the way back, and then when you get to your thumb, I'd like you to get comfortable on the floor so that we can have a little bit of relaxation now. And some people say that relaxation is the most important part of a yoga class, because we've used our bodies, we've used our muscles, we've got rid of hopefully any little bits of tension we might have been feeling, so that when we lie down we can be totally floppy on the floor. So when you're lying down for relaxation, I'm going to show you what you look like when, well, I'm going to stand up because if I lie down you might not see me. So you have the arms away from the body and the legs apart a little bit, and your hands going up to the ceiling, so the palms of hands are facing upwards. So you look a bit like a gingerbread person, but if it hurts your back, you can bend your knees like this. And if your neck isn't comfortable, you can have a cushion under your head. And if that really doesn't work for you, just lie how you like, but we're trying to be symmetrical. So it's another mathematical term. If I draw a line down my body, it's a bit like there's a mirror there, so one side looks the same as the other. We don't want to be sort of twisted like that. We're trying to balance both sides of the body out. So if you can lie down, and I'd like you to start by screwing your toes up really, really tight and then letting them go. And the idea is that if you tense muscles up, when you let go of them, they feel more relaxed than they were to start with. So when you've done your toes, I'd like you to tense your legs up, tighten everything up in your legs as much as you can. And then let go. And then imagine you're pushing your back into the floor as hard as you can. So you might feel your tummy muscles are tensing up. And then let go. And now make fists, squeeze your fingers as tight as you can. And let go. Then squeeze your fingers again, but this time bring your hands up to your shoulders and tighten your arms and your fists up as much as you can. And then let go, let your arms drop down to the floor. And now keeping your arms on the floor, bring your shoulders up to your ears as tight as you can. And then let go. Now onto your face, grip your teeth as tight as you can. I hope you can tell from my voice that I was doing it then, so your jaw feels really tight. And then let go. And then raise your eyebrows as high as you can. And let go. And then screw your whole face up. So I'm going to look stupid, but you won't. Tight as you can. And then let go again. So I'm going to stop talking for a couple of minutes. But I'd like you to lie as still as you can. And if you start to get distracted, if you start thinking, oh, I'm getting a bit bored of lying here, that's totally normal. A lot of people think the lying down bit of yoga class can be a bit boring and they'd rather get on with something else. But I just want you to challenge yourself and see if you can lie still a bit longer. And something you can do is put your hands on your tummy. So when you breathe in, you feel your hands going up. And when you breathe out, you feel them drop back down again. And just see if you can lie a little bit longer. Okay, now give your fingers and toes a little wriggle, and we're going to do this slowly, but I'd just like to have a stretch out, or maybe curl up into a little ball, have a little roll around, and take your time to come up to sitting. So there's no rush to come up to sitting at all. And then when you're sitting, I like to just bring your hands together, and we're going to do 3 big breaths. So as you breathe in, reach your hands up towards the ceiling. And as you breathe out, bring them to your heart centre. We call this your heart centre because your actual heart's a little bit over here. So we'll do that twice more. And you don't have to do it at the same time as me because we all breathe at different speeds. And at the end of every yoga class, we say a special word. And it's in a language called Sanskrit. It's a very old language from India. But there are other Indian languages that still use this word, and it can mean hello or goodbye. When we say at the end of a yoga class, what we're saying is we're all connected with each other. We've all got a little spark of light inside us that's connected to the spark of light you have inside you, and we've shared our yoga practice. So when we say this word to each other, we're kind of saying thank you for doing yoga with me. Hope you enjoyed it. I did. So let's say it together. Namaste. Hope you enjoyed that. If there's anything you'd like to see me doing, if you want me to give a mention to anyone, if there's any birthdays, please let me know. I'm going to aim to do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays when I can. So take care. Bye-bye.